Okay, today we are going to work on section 21.1, which is solving equations by factoring. So if we have an equation that's a quadratic, that's x squared plus bx plus c, where b and c are just numbers, we're going to factor that to get it into a form that we can easily solve. So one thing that we need to remember that this is what we call standard form of a quadratic. And yeah, hopefully you can read that. Standard form. Okay, we want to get it into a factored form that we looked at the other day, where we have our x plus something and x plus something. All right, we want to get it into that factored form where it looks in like the two polynomials multiplied together. So what we are going to look at is essentially undoing the multiplication process that we've done before. We do that by finding factors of our value, and we take our numbers b and c. We're going to find two factors of c, so they have to multiply together to equal c, and then they have to add up together to be b. So the idea in this first example, we have x squared plus 9x plus 18. We are going to look for factors that add up to 18, or that add up to 9, but multiply together to get 18. So if you break it apart into all of the different factor pairs, 1 times 18 is 18, 2 times 9 is 18, and 3 times 6 is 18. Then when we look at adding them together, 1 plus 18 is 19, so that's not going to work. 2 plus 9 is 11, that's not going to work. 3 plus 6 equals 9, so that does work. All right, the idea is they have to add to b, but multiply to get c. All right, so this one we would rewrite in its factored form of x plus 3 and x plus 6, both sets in parentheses. Okay, now the idea, if c, our number at the end, if it's positive, both of the factors have the same sign, because if you have two negatives multiplied, it becomes positive. If you have two positives multiplied, it stays positive. If c is negative, one of them is positive, one of them has to be negative, because we have to have one negative to multiply and get a negative number. All right, we are going to look at x squared plus 11x plus 30. We're going to find the values for b and c. Well, b is right here, so b is 11. C is right there, so c is 30. Okay, c in this case, it's plus 30, so c is positive. So both of the factors will be the same sign. We're going to look at for all of the factor pairs of 30, so everything that multiplies together to get 30, and then find the sum of each to see what works. Okay, so to get 30, we have 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, and 5 times 6. So let's add them together. So 31, nope. 2 plus 15, 17. 3 plus 10 is 13. And 5 plus 6 is 11. So the ones that equal what we're looking for they add up to 11. So the factor pair is 5 and 6. Okay, so now we know that they're both positive because they have to add up to positive 11. So we're going to put that in here, x plus 5, x plus 6. All right, Now, let's look at something that's slightly different. If we have x squared plus 13x minus 30, b is equal to positive 13, but this time c is negative 30. So c is negative. That means the signs will have to be different. To get a negative, when I multiply, I have to have one positive and one negative. So we're going to list all the factor pairs that came to negative 30 and then find the sum. Okay, this list is going to be a little longer because one has to be negative, one has to be positive. So we could have 1 times negative 30. So 1 plus negative 30 is negative 29. Nope. 2 and negative 15. So 2 plus negative 15 is negative 13. That won't work because we're looking for positive 13. 3 and negative 10. 3 plus negative 10 is negative 7. Nope. 5 and negative 6. 5 plus a negative 6 is negative 1. Nope. Negative 1 and 30. 2 and negative 2 and 15. Negative 3 and 10. And negative 5 and 6. So I'll write those in there. All right. 30 minus 1 is positive 29. Nope. 15 plus a negative 2 is 13. That's what we're looking for. We can finish the rest. This one's 7 and this one is positive 1. All right. So the pair that we're looking for is negative 2 and 15. So what we will have, it's going to be x plus 15 and x minus 2. Those are our two factor pairs. That's now in factored form. All right, we'll go through it again, just another way to kind of represent it and look at it. You could branch it off this way. So if we have 4x squared minus 4x plus 21, they have to multiply to negative 21, and we have to add to negative 4. Okay, so negative 21 could be negative 1 and 21. They add to 20. Does not work. 1 and negative 21 adds to negative 20. Does not work. Negative 3 and 7 adds to positive 4. Does not work. 3 and negative 7 adds to negative 4. That one works. So the idea behind this, we know this is negative. It's negative 21. So 1 positive, 1 negative. Okay, it adds to negative 4. So the bigger one will end up having to be negative. All right, let's look at the next one, x squared plus 2x minus 15. So however you want to visually represent it, it's okay, but they have to multiply to negative 15 and add to 2. So we have negative 15 and 1. They multiply to get negative 15. They add to. They add to negative 14. We're trying to get to 2. We also have negative 5 and 3. So negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. This would add to negative 2. We have negative 3 and 5. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15, but 5 plus a negative 3 makes 2. So this one works. They multiply to negative 15, they add to get to 2. So the answer we would write in factored form, it's going to be x minus 3 and x plus 5. All right, we'll run through this last little bit, and then I'll give you 2 year turns and then your assignment. Okay, so important key idea. When C is negative, one factor is negative and one is positive. All right, so if the number at the end is negative, one of the factors is positive, one is negative. When C is positive, both factors are negative or both factors are positive. Okay, so if both factors are positive when B is negative, then both factors have to be negative. All right, so when we're looking at it, if they multiply to a positive number but add to a negative, they both have to be negative. All right, so our goal to factor, find 2 factors whose sum they add to equal B and whose product, when they multiply, is equal to C. Okay, couple year turns. So work on these 2 and then we pause it and I'll go over them in a little bit. Okay, on the first one, if you notice that the last number is negative 4, they have to multiply to get negative 4, so one's positive, one is negative. They have to add to negative 3. So everything that multiplies to negative 4 and 1, 4 and negative 1, 2 and negative 2. When we add them, negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3, so this is the one that works. If you find the one that works first, you could stop there. You don't have to do the rest of them. I did just to show you. Now we write it as our final answer. So x minus 4 times x plus 1. Okay, try the second one, and then I'll go over it in just a second. Okay, this one should be relatively easy. Since our C is positive, they're either both positive or both negative. Then we look at B. B is positive, so both things have to be positive. The only things that multiply to 3 are 3 and 1 or 1 and 3. So 1 and 3 adds up to 4. So our factors are 1 and 3. We write x plus 1 and x plus 3. All right, you have an assignment with factoring, so go ahead, get that done, and we'll see you next week.